Hi Facebook Livers! So we're going to get ourselves moving into a Pilates class. Let's allow ourselves to find our feet. And we'll allow the feet to be just underneath the hips. I'm just going to adjust the camera slightly. That's better. Okay, so we'll allow those feet to be just underneath the hips and we'll allow the toes to point forwards. Let's take a few nice gentle breaths, allowing ourselves to focus in on our body and how our body's feeling today. So just allowing ourselves to zone in. Let's allow our focus to come into the rib cage. And as we inhale and exhale, we'll just allow all tension or concerns to just soak away. And we'll see if we can take this hour for just us and our bodies, seeing if we can really clear ourselves of any other external concerns. And as we breathe nice and deeply, let's allow that breath to come deep down into the rib cage. So I want you to almost try and fill right into the bottom of the ribs, round into the back as well. And then on each breath here, I want you to see if you can soften into the abdomen, soften into the hips. Find a sense that we're not locking into the knees and into the ankles. Lovely. And then just take a moment to transfer your weight over the front of your feet. And then transfer in some weight into the back of the feet. And we'll take it through those two extremes, tipping gently forwards and gently back. And we'll find that place where our weight's right in the centre of the 2 feet. And when we find that place, let's draw up through the arches of the feet. And then we'll bring our awareness into our pelvis. So imagining that the pelvis is a bucket of water filled to the top, we'll allow the pelvis to gently tip forwards and gently tip back. That's it, just tipping some water out of the front of the bucket and some water out of the back of the bucket. And then we'll find that place where it feels as though our bucket of water is nice and level. Tailbone descends down towards the space between the heels. And when we find that place, let's allow ourselves to lengthen really tall, feeling as though the top of the head is floating up towards the space above us. We'll lift the shoulders and roll the shoulders back and down. And again, lifting the shoulders, roll the shoulders back and down. Let's do that a few times. Good, using the breath to just release from any tension in the shoulders. And then we'll allow those shoulders to ease gently towards one another and sink down towards the tailbone. And as we glide the shoulders down the back, down towards the tailbone, let's draw the muscles between the tailbone and the pubic bone in and up. So we're really engaging through the pelvic floor muscles. And we've got a sense of connection through the tummy. Take a deep breath from there. Let's allow the right arm to float forwards and up. Breathing in as the arm floats back down. We'll change over to the other side. Opposite arm floats forwards and up. Breath in as the arm floats back down. Changing sides again. Lovely. So as one arm floats down, let's allow the other arm to float upwards. Great. And as we do that, just take a moment to check that your weight's really central. So you're not rocking into the back of the feet, you're not rocking into the front of the feet, but you've got the centre, the weight right in the centre. And we'll take a little bit of an engagement through the arches of the feet. And then let's allow both the arms to rest down by our sides. Good. Taking a nice deep breath when we get there, let's allow the right ear to dip down towards the right shoulder. And then the head lifts gently up and over to the opposite side. And then again the head lifts up and over to the first side. And once again up and over to the second side. And then as we come through to the centre, let's allow the head to gently rotate round. Breathing in as we come back to the centre and rotating the head round to the opposite side. And let's do that again, rotating the head gently round. And coming through the centre and rotating round to the opposite side. And then bringing the head into the centre, we'll allow the chin to tuck towards the chest. We'll start to release through the top of the head, rolling gently down through the spine, coming down through the vertebrae, bit by bit, piece by piece. Take a deep breath at the bottom. And breathing out as we roll back up through the spine. Head comes on top, we lift the shoulders, roll the shoulders back and down, and both arms float forwards and up. Breathing in as the arms float back down. And again, release through the top of the head, rolling down through the spine. Take a nice deep breath there, breathing out as we roll up through the vertebrae. Head comes on top, we lift the shoulders, roll the shoulders back and down. Yep, that's it, Caroline, lovely. You let the arms lengthen up. And release the arms by our side. Take a little bend of the knees, let the arms open out to the side. And then we'll lengthen the legs. Lovely. Once again, rolling through the spine. Let the head be heavy. Do allow yourself to just move with your breath. Keep it going. Head comes on top. Shoulders lift. We roll the shoulders back and down. Both arms float forwards and up. Lovely. Breathing in as we float the arms back down. Taking that bend through the knees. Let the arms open out to the side. And lengthening the legs, coming up and over to the right side, extending the head out and away. Breathing in as we come through the centre, up and over to the opposite side. And again, we come through the centre, up and over to the right side, adding in that top arm when you feel ready to. Top arm lifts up and over. Lovely. Let's just make sure that we're not rocking our weight from one foot to the other. So we're really lengthening out through the top of the head, keeping the feet nicely grounded. Finishing off there on the left side, let's draw the fingertips in towards one another. Find a little softening through the knees. Stabilise through the pelvis. Will allow the rib cage to gently rotate round to one side. Breathing in as we return back to the centre and rotating round to the opposite side. Breathing in as we return back to the centre. Good, keep that going for me. And then as we come back to the centre, let's come into the centre and bring the hands in front of us as if we've got a tray in each hand. Shoulders gliding down the back, strong through the core, let the arms open out to the side. Shoulders gliding together. Breathe in as the arms draw back in. And again, gently opening out. Shoulders gliding down the back. So we feel as though the shoulders are going to try to slide in towards one another. Breath in as the arms return. Lovely. This time we'll allow the right arm to gently circle around the head and above us without spilling whatever it is we're holding on our tray, and then coming around, changing to the other side. Lovely. Once again on each side. And second side. Good. Let's take those arms behind us. We'll see if we can find our elbows behind our backs. If you want to, from here, we can allow ourselves to find a prayer position. Maybe the fingertips go up, maybe the fingertips go down. See what works. We're letting those shoulders glide down the back. Let's once again release out through the neck. So we'll let the head tip over to one side. Coming through the centre, up and over to the opposite side. And again, up and over to the right side. And up and over to the second side. And releasing the arms there. Give the arms a little shake out. Let's allow ourselves to take a little balance work. So we'll allow the eyes to be open. We'll allow ourselves to focus on a fixed point just in front of us. And we'll take a breath and allow the right foot to gently lift. And then we'll float in that foot down and we'll change over to the other side. Oh, I've got someone viewing on my Facebook Live. Thank goodness we're on. Christian, you're there. Marvellous. So we're changing legs each time. I had a horrible feeling that I hadn't put my Facebook Live on correctly and no one was watching. But there are people there, so it must have been successful. So this time we'll allow the leg to lift. Let's allow the knee to gently open out to the side. And then drawing that leg back into the centre and we'll float the foot gently down, changing over to the other side. Leg lifts, knee opens out to the side. Coming back into the centre and floating down. Let's add our arms in there. Both arms can lift. We'll allow the knee to open out to the side. Drawing the leg back in. Lovely. Good. Keep that going for me. Just take a moment, check that the hips aren't twisting with us. So we're going to keep the pelvis nice and still. The knee won't go all the way to the side unless you are a prima ballerina, in which case that's a marvellous thing. But generally, our hip mobility isn't completely side, but we're just coming onto a sort of diagonal. Let's take that little leg going back behind us. So we'll allow the leg to lift. Knee opens out to the side. Drawing the leg back in and then take that leg behind. Stretch. And draw the leg back in. And then we'll do that on the other side. So we lift the knee. Knee opens out to the side. We draw the leg back in, stretch the leg away from us. Now I'm taking a little tip through the torso. We want to take a little squeeze in through the buttock as we lengthen that leg away. Let's do that again. And this time I'm going to add on. So we'll draw the leg back in, stretch the leg away. And then as it comes back in, I want you to take a big lunge forwards. And then bringing the legs back together. Let's do that together. So we lift. Knee opens out to the side. Drawing back to the centre. We'll stretch the leg behind us. And then bringing the leg in and big lunge forwards. Yeah, nice. Let's do that once again on each side. We lift. Knee opens out to the side. Drawing the leg back in, stretching that leg away. Now it might be that the torso comes parallel to the floor, and if it does, it's a marvellous thing. We bring it all back in, big lunge forwards. Last one. Stretching that leg away. Squeeze in through the bottom as you stretch away from you. And big lunge forwards. Bringing the feet back together. Marvellous. Now, we're going to take a little roll down through the spine and come into our push-up exercise. If your wrists don't like it, stick to a roll up and a squat instead. So, taking a deep breath. As you breathe out, we're going to release through the chin. Let the head become heavy. We're rolling down through the spine. So our first level of the push-up is with a sort of square position, a box position. Take the hands wider than the shoulders and the hips are just above the knees. We allow the chest to lower. Breathe out as we push up and away, tucking the toes under, walking the hands gently in, rolling up through the spine, letting the head become heavy. Coming up through the vertebrae. Head comes on top. When we get there, we'll take a little rise. She says, yep, I'm there. and rolling down through the spine. Now, have a little play around with this roll down. See what you can do to challenge yourself. So it might be that we can walk the hands a little bit further forwards, taking a wider angle of the hips. We'll let the head be really nice and heavy as we roll up through the spine. So we've got those core connections. Allow yourself to breathe nice and gently, and don't worry if you're breathing in the opposite direction to what I'm suggesting, that's okay, as long as we keep the breath flowing. Now it might be that we're opening up the hips completely, so we've got a nice long angle from knees to hips to shoulders, and if that's the case, it's a marvellous thing. You might be thinking, I know, I need to tuck my toes under and take a full push-up, and that will be brilliant too. We're going to make sure that we're not struggling, so we're not shuddering through the body, and we just feel as though we've got a sense of being able to really maintain that exercise. Just taking one more for me here. And we're going to stay down. So those of us that are doing the roll up and roll down without the push-up exercise, come on down and we'll all join each other down on the floor. So we've got the knees on the floor. Let's just sit back onto our heels. We'll lengthen the arms in front of us. And we can rest the forehead. Some of us might prefer to take the knees a bit wider. And then the toes come together, and then we get much more crease in the hips and the knees. I love this position. So we take a nice deep breath. We allow the hands to come over to the right side, and we stretch across the left side. So we take a nice long stretch across the side of the body. And then let's walk the hands around to the opposite side. Right arm reaches, pull back into your right hip. And taking that nice long stretch there. Bringing the hands in underneath us, we'll come onto hands and knees. Come into that tabletop position. So just take a moment to take a little cat stretch when you're there, pushing the back up into the sky. And then let's look to find that place where we are tabletop. Let's do that again, pushing the back up into the sky, using that squeeze in through the tummy. Nice. And then lengthening out. So from there, you've got the shoulders gliding down the back. The tailbone is stretching away from you, and you've got that nice strong squeeze in through the tummy. We'll take a deep breath and we'll slide the right leg away from us. Breathe in as the leg returns. If you feel you can do, we can stretch the leg and allow it to lift away from the floor, or it might be that it stays touching the ground. Draw the leg back in, so you're changing legs each time. Shoulders are gliding down the back. Little lift. Or if it's touching the ground, that's fine too. So the main focus here is to keep your hips and your shoulders really nice and stable. Let's allow ourselves, if we want to allow the opposite arm to leg to extend away. And then as we draw the arm and the leg back in, we'll take our thread in the needle. So that same arm's going to thread through the gap. Breathing in as we return. Opposite arm to leg extends away. Drawing the arm and leg in and feeding gently through. Lovely. Now if anybody's feeling that you want to open up a little bit more there, as the knee comes in, let's allow the arm to lift up for the sky, and then we'll feed through so we get even more openness and more rotation through the torso. We'll take one more on each side. Little challenge if you want it. Lengthen the leg and the arm away. Keep the leg lifted. Opening out. Nice. And feeding through. And then we draw the leg back in and the arm back in, change to the other side. Opposite arm to leg. Keep the leg lifted as we open out. And then feed through. Good. Once again, just sit back onto your heels. Lengthening the arms in front of you. And then let's allow ourselves to come onto our side. I'm on my left side. That would be your right side if you were looking at me. But you just take a note of which side you're on to start off with. So we've got the shoulders on top of one another and we've got the hips on top of one another. If you take a little look down, you can see your toes. Nice. We're squeezing in through the tummy. A nice sense of being drawn in through the abdomen and the tailbone is stretching away. Let's take a deep breath. We're going to stretch both our legs away from us, fully reaching those legs out and away. Go for that full extension through the leg. Lovely, that's it, Margaret, nice. Taking a nice deep breath, top leg's going to take a little circle. We'll take 3, 2, lovely, 1, and then we'll change the direction of that circle. Hips are staying really nice and still. See if we can really stretch and lengthen away. Hold it for me there. Let's allow the top arm to lift up and over like a rainbow over the head. Breathe in as the arm gently returns. And then the top leg's going to take a little slow motion kick in action forwards. And breathe in as the leg returns. Up and over with the arm. Drawing the arm back and we allow that leg to push forwards. Good. Let's take 2 more like that. If you want to add in your little torso extension, little torso bend, we can do so. The fingertips keep reaching. We've got that little side extension. And then the top foot moves forwards. And back. Just 1 more. Lovely. Top foot moves forwards. And coming back, lovely. Let's float those legs down. Well done, guys. Allowing that top hip to tip gently forwards. And allowing the top knee to gently lift and lower. And we gently lift and lower. There you are, Jill. Back in the room. Well done. No. Taking just 1 more and then we'll glue the knees together and we'll allow both the feet to gently lift and lower. Good. Taking 4 more like that. Well done, good. And then let's just gently circle this top leg as if we're on a bicycle. So we'll glide the foot forwards, give it a squeeze and come on round. Push the foot forwards, squeeze in through the bottom as you come on round. Taking 2 more like this. And then we'll circle back in the opposite direction, pushing the leg back and around. Push back and around. Woo. Last one. And then let's take hold of that foot and take a nice long stretch through the front of the thigh. And we'll allow that top shoulder to glide down the back, allowing ourselves to stretch out through the front of the thigh. Nice and deep with the breath as you release into that stretch. And then releasing the legs there. Let's allow ourselves to come forwards with the arms. If you've got a cushion and you want to pop it under your head, now's a good time to do that. So we take a nice deep breath, and then that top arm gently opens. Eyes are fixed on the hand. And we breathe in as the arm returns. And again, yeah, that's it, lovely. Good. Letting the head release into the ground. Rolling with the action and watching the hand as it comes over. And then if you want to take that little chalk circle, we can do that if you've got enough room around the top of you. So the top hand keeps the fingertips connecting to the floor, and we circle around. It's a really nice stretch for the chest. You might even find it goes down the arm. And finishing off there. Make a note of which side you've just done, because I'm going to do a bit of stuff sitting. I'm on my left. Okay, we'll come on up. Let's go for a cross-legged position. Just going to open up through the glutes a little bit. We'll let those shoulders glide down the back. Let's allow, when we find that seated position, we'll just allow the head to gently tip from side to side. Good. And then take a deep breath, and we'll just allow ourselves to ease gently forwards over those legs, those crossed legs. Now, if cross-legged isn't ideal for you, you can always take the legs wide instead if you prefer. And that'll get more in a thigh than glute stretch, but we hopefully can do a glute stretch when we get to the floor, which is one that you can do against the wall, or you can use the band for. So some people find that one more useful than this one. And then let's lift up nice and tall. We'll cross the legs with the opposite leg across. We'll lift really nice and tall. So from there, we'll just let the head rotate gently round. And as we do that, we're going to see if we can allow the shoulders to just release down the back. Take a moment to check that you've got a sense of the pelvis dropping into the floor. And we're allowing those hips to really release and relax away. And then we'll do the same thing again. We'll allow the hands to come forwards, seeing if we can ease into that hip there a little bit more. Good. And lifting nice and tall for me there. Let's take the legs out in front of us, a little bit apart. We're going to take our spine twists. So be in a position that allows you to lift really tall. If it's not this position, then maybe find another one where your hips are still symmetrical, maybe with the feet on the floor and the knees bent, whatever works for you. Drawing the fingertips together, let the shoulders glide down the back. Strengthening through those core muscles. Take a breath, we'll allow the rib cage to gently rotate round to one side. Breathing in as we come back to the centre, and then rotating around to the opposite side. Now we'll keep that going. If you want to, allow the elbows to go wide. So we can allow as we take the elbows wide, you want to imagine that you are the picture in the middle of your picture frame. So check that at no point do you find yourself looking at one of your hands. You're looking out and the fingers are in your peripheral vision. Yeah, good. So you can adjust as you need to if it starts to get tense in the back. Now, as we rotate towards that right leg, we're going to allow the left arm to lengthen towards the right leg. So it's a little extension. Breathing in as we come on back and rotating gently round. Right arm extends towards the left leg. We extend and lengthen. Now, let's keep the pelvis really grounded. So we're imagining that we're sitting in a sheet of wet cement and we're trying to get a really fabulous imprint of our bottom in the cement, even on both sides. So as we reach, you want to push into your opposite side of the pelvis. If you want to, the arms can lengthen out to the side as you rotate round, and then as the left arm reaches, the right arm reaches backwards behind you. Lift, rotate gently round, extend and lengthen. And one more on each side. And release in there. Give it a little jiggle out. Now, we're going to do our capital C to bring us to the floor before we do our opposite side. So I'm going to swing my legs around to point towards the way my head was going a moment ago. It doesn't matter too much. You can have a little shuffle around as long as you've made a note of which side you started on with your side leg kicks. And ultimately, it's a good idea to make sure you can still see me. So we'll allow ourselves to have the feet just hip distance apart, and we've got the length of the mat behind us, or we've got some length behind us that we can move towards. We're going to lengthen up really nice and tall. We'll let the shoulders glide down the back, and we'll allow the tailbone to stay pointing down, lengthening through the top of the head. Nice tight squeeze through the tummy, and we're curling down. And then we're lengthening up nice and tall. Now we'll keep that going. Let's start by really thinking about this spine mobility. So we want to really allow the pelvis to take that rotation, that nice tip in action. We want to be really strong through the core. So we're really scooping in through the tummy. If it gets to that point where you start to dome in the tummy, you've gone far enough and you need to just bring yourself back a little. So I want to add in a little breastbone lift at the top. So as we do that, we're thinking about the sternum lifting up for the sky, not knocking back through the neck. So let's allow ourselves to lift really tall. Just watch the hands as you go and let the breastbone do the lifting. And then it's capital C again, curving into the lower back. And we'll lift up really nice and tall, breastbone for the sky. Now, you might find that your hip flexors start to talk to you, in which case you can let the knees open out to the side if that feels as though that's going to be better. That's it, Jill, nice, yeah. And we're lifting up really nice and tall. Good. Let's see if we can allow ourselves to come all the way to the floor. We're going to come back up again. So it might be that you get all the way down, take an inward breath as the arms lift up and over the head. Exhale as the fingers come forwards. And you're curling yourself back up. See if we can find that little upper body reach. And let's do that twice more. So this final one's going to bring us all the way to the floor. We'll all bring ourselves to the floor. Let's join each other down here on the floor. And I'd like to go straight onto our other side so that we know that we're even. Because you know what I'm like for forgetting to do the second side. So we'll allow the bottom arm to lengthen and the head can rest on down. Now, so I did my left side before, I'm now on my right side. If you were facing me with your head in the same direction as me last time, you should have your head going in the same direction this time. But I appreciate you might have to jiggle around depending on your room. So once again, legs are fully lengthened. We'll take a little look down, check that we can see our toes, if we can normally see our toes when we're standing. Nice, take a deep breath. We'll stretch and lengthen those legs away from us. Now, once we're in this position, we're working for balance as well as stamina. You might want your right hand to be resting on the floor, you might want it to be resting by your side. This top shoulder is gliding down the back, so let's look for really good posture there. Top leg's going to circle. We'll take 3 in one direction, and then we'll take 3 in the opposite direction. Nice and stable through the hips. nice and still through the shoulders. And the larger we make that circle, the harder it's going to be for us to keep really stable and still. So allow this to be about balance rather than about how beautiful your leg looks. Let's allow the top arm to lift up and over the head. Breathing in as the arm comes back, and then just as we did on the other side, top leg moves forwards in a kind of slow motion kicking action. Top arm lifts up and over. Breathing in as the arm returns back by our side. Keep those fingertips reaching, take that little side bend and softening down. Lovely. Again, we lift up and over. I missed my leg then, didn't I? I'm going to have to do 2 legs this time to catch up with you. Last one, guys. Good. And when you've finished off there, allow both the legs to float down, softening through the knees. Woo. So as we take this knee opening, we're going to allow the top knee to tip slightly forward, so the hips are on a wonky angle. Take a deep breath in, squeezing in through the tummy. Top knee lifts, toes glued together. Now, I'm going to guess that if you looked on a Pilates manual, it wouldn't say, make sure your hips are at a wonky angle. You all know what I mean. So the top hips gently tipping forwards, and as you fix that top hip forwards, you've got that real sense of connecting in through the core. I think this is number 5. Glue the knees together, allow both the feet to lift and lower, strong through the core. We lift. Let's see how high we can bring those toes. Yeah. Good. Last one there, and then we'll take that circle with that top leg. So I've bought myself some very leery leggings, especially to see if you can see me more clearly on the camera. So if anybody's got any feedback about my leery leggings, feel free to message me. And then we'll take that leg back the opposite way, pushing the leg back behind and circling around. Push the leg back and circle around. Good, we've got just 3 more like that. Lovely, and then let's take hold of that foot. Take a nice long stretch down through the front of the thigh. Shoulders glide down the back. The hip gently tips forwards. And softening from there. We'll allow the knees to come on top of one another. If you've got a cushion to hand, grab that cushion now and pop it underneath your head. Let the head rest on down. And we'll take a breath. We'll allow the top arm to gently open. Eyes are fixed on the hand. And we'll breathe in as we allow the arm to return. And again, top arm opens. Seem to have got closer to my sofa now. Don't know how I've managed that. And if you want to take that little chalk circle, do imagine you've got a little bit of chalk in your top hand and you're gently circling it around you. Enjoy that nice long stretch across the front of the chest. It might be that the fingertips don't stay connected to the floor the whole time. They might take a little sort of jump on the way round. And finishing off there, allow yourself to come onto your back. Now, you might want to rest your head onto the cushion, or you might want to get rid of it now. If you get to, when you're lying on the floor, if you get there and your chin's kind of jutting upwards, I would suggest popping a cushion under your head so that you can find that sense of the chin tucking in and that length across the back of the neck, and it might feel rather lovely. We'll allow the feet to be just hip distance apart and the knees are bent, and we're going to take a few moments to just let the body completely surrender into the floor. So we've got the pelvis resting down into the ground. We've got the length of the spine releasing all the way up to the head, which is really releasing down into the ground. And now just take a gentle breath, let the breastbone release, let tension release along the collarbones so the shoulders can really relax down into the floor. We'll just rock the pelvis, imagining that you've got a tray on your abdomen, and on that tray is one marble. You're going to roll the marble towards the belly button, and then you're going to roll the marble towards the pubic bone. And we'll take it through those two extremes, and we'll find that place where it feels as though hip bone and pubic bone are level with one another. Take a nice deep breath from there, draw in through the pelvic floor muscles. Taking that breath will allow the right leg to slide away from us. Breathe in as the leg returns, and then changing over to the opposite leg, sliding that leg away. Breath in as the leg returns. As the leg extends away, we can allow the opposite arm to lengthen up and over the head. Breathing in as the arm and the leg return, and breathing out as opposite arm to leg extend away. So we'll just use this as an opportunity to feel really centered. We've got our alignment through the pelvis, so the tailbone stretching away. We've got that connection, and we're just making sure that as we stretch the leg away, pelvis is staying really nice and stable and still. Good. One more on each side. Shoulder blades are sinking down into the ground as we let the arm extend up and over. And then let's find our knee circles with our right leg lifted. So again, in neutral spine, your marble hasn't rolled in towards your belly button at this point. We're going to allow the knee to lift to hover above the hip socket. So let's take some little circles, breathing out for half the circle, breathing in to complete the circle. Gently stirring the thigh bone within the hip socket. So taking 3 more in that direction before we change the direction of this circle. In this exercise, where we're using those deep abdominal muscles to keep the pelvis in neutral, so it's a really good exercise for sort of functional work. Let's change the direction of the circle. We want to be making sure we're challenging ourselves in neutral as well as imprinted spine when we come on to working with our 2 legs lifted. Let's change over to the other side. So you can challenge yourself a bit further with these knee circles. So you've got your circle that you're making, and you're exploring how wide can that circle be without wobbling through the hips. Sometimes we find that then this opposite leg needs to get out of the way a little bit, so you can slide the leg away from you. Notice as the leg slides away, you'll get to a point where it will start to pull your back away from the floor. So we want to just maintain that neutral spine. And if you want to, you can open up this angle of the knee as well, and that will challenge it that little bit further. That's it, lovely. Finishing off there, bring the knees in and give them a good hug. So we've worked with our 1-legged tundra position there in our knee circles, and we're going to have a little explore of our 2-legged tundra position. If you get into your 2-legged tundra position, there's any strain in the lower back or there's doming through the tummy, I'm going to ask you to come back to the 1-legged version with neutral spine. So we're squeezing in through the tummy, and we're going to just connect into those core muscles and allow the arms to release back down onto the floor. Let's see if we can keep the knees just as they are. Just take a moment to roll the head from side to side. Check that you're not creating tension in the lower back, and you've still got the belly button squeezing down towards the spine.
Now, let's have a little play around with whereabouts this 100 position is a challenge. So, the legs start to move away from us. We're aiming to get the knees above the hip socket. They might not go all that way, but let's see if we can get them to there. That's lovely. Good. That's really nice, Rachel. Great, great. Back presses into the floor. Knee is hovering above the hip socket. Maybe the legs push a little bit further, maybe they're a little bit in, but it's wherever it is, it's a challenge for those core muscles. And again, if you get to this position and you start to think, oh, my tummy's really pushing upwards now, that is a false economy. So draw the belly button down, either bring the knees in closer or work with one leg lifted in neutral. Take a deep breath, let's allow both the arms to lengthen up towards the sky, and we'll glide those shoulders down the back. Really planted with the shoulder blades, we'll circle the arms. Breathing out for half the circle, breathing in to complete the circle. So the rib cage stays sinking down. The shoulders are sinking down into the floor. And we've got one leg lifted. If you're thinking this is not working for me, you can allow both the feet to rest onto the floor and we'll zone in on rib cage stability, shoulder stability. Now, if you want more challenge, as the arms circle away, one leg stretches away, breathing in as the leg and the arm return, changing over to the other side, and drawing the arm and the leg back in. Keep that going for me. Lovely. If you're working with one leg lifted, change over to the other leg now. And then let's all of us change the direction of the arm circles. So if they were going up and wide, they're now going to go down and wide. Finishing off on this second side. And then we'll bring the knees in towards the chest and give them a good hug. So from there, let's allow the left foot to rest down onto the floor. Keep that right leg hugged in, and we'll slide that left leg away from us. Sliding the leg away. Nice deep breath, and then we'll change over to the other side, drawing that left leg in. Let the right leg rest down onto the floor, and we'll glide that right leg away from us. And then we're going to take some active hamstring stretch work before we come into our shoulder bridge. So we'll allow both feet to come onto the floor. We'll let the knees bend. We'll find that nice neutral spine position where hip bone and pubic bone come to level. Squeezing in through the tummy. Allow the right knee to lift to hover above the hip socket, bringing the calf to that 90-degree angle. Now, the knee's going to stay above the hip socket and we're going to stretch through that calf and then we're going to draw back down. So we're encouraging the thigh muscle to engage as the leg stretches up, and as the thigh muscle engages, we're actively lengthening the hamstring. The challenge is not to let your back push into the floor each time, so see if you can keep that nice natural curve in the lower back. Hold it for me up there. You've got that natural curve in the lower back. Take a deep breath. We're going to start to lower the leg, but you're going to keep the belly button squeezing in. You're going to keep that natural curve in the lower back. Don't go any further than you feel you can go whilst maintaining neutral. Then we lift the leg. If it starts to feel as though it's too much of a challenge, bend the knee again and allow yourself to be in that modified 100 position. We'll take 3 more. And 2. And last one, and then the legs are going to come in nice and close. Give it a hug, lose your neutral spine, and just see if we can take a little stretch into that hamstring stretch there. So the leg's going to extend up towards the sky. You're going to grab hold maybe around the back of the thigh, maybe around the back of the calf. If you've got a band, grab hold of the band and wrap it around your foot. we'll take that right foot across the left knee. So as promised, we've got another stretch here for the glutes. So this is going to stretch out through those glute muscles. If you can, you'll weave the hands around the left thigh and ease the legs in towards us. But if you find that your arms aren't long enough for this, you can either wrap a band around the leg that's was on the floor, or you can use a wall or a sofa to just allow yourself to prop the leg up. And the closer you shuffle your bottom towards the sofa or the wall, the more of an intense stretch you'll get through the glute there. Let's change over to the other leg. So, feet on the floor, knees bent, finding that neutral spine position. Hips and pubic bone nice and level. Rib cage draws down. Allow that left leg to lift. Natural curve in the lower back. Knee, extend from the knee. Shin bone lengthens away and then draw back in. So we're stretching up for the sky and draw back in. Last one, maintaining that neutral position. If we can, we start to lower the leg towards the floor. So again, if you find that this starts to pull the back away from the ground, I'd rather you bend the knee. So you can take a toe touch with the knee bent instead. Or maybe just don't take it quite as low towards the floor, so it might be a smaller range of movement. Last one, and then we'll see if we can bring that leg in, grab around the back of the thigh, or maybe the back of the calf, depending on how flexible you're feeling this morning. That's it, lovely. Nice deep breath. Ooh, that's tight. And then taking that left foot across the right knee, let the left knee fall open to the side, and then weaving the hands around the right thigh, easing the legs in close to us. Shoulders melt down the back, and we draw the legs in. And releasing there, allow the feet to come onto the floor. So the feet are on the floor, the knees are bent. We're going to take our shoulder bridge, so you may want the feet to be a little bit closer towards the bottom. Take a deep breath for me there, and start by just taking a gentle rock through the pelvis. So we're allowing the lower back to sink into the floor, and then we're tipping the pelvis away back to neutral. Let's exaggerate that and start to peel a few more of the vertebrae away from the ground. Taking that breath and then rolling back down and returning to neutral. And again, we keep rolling. And we come to that point where knees, hips and shoulders come into line with one another. Take a breath. And breathing out as we roll back down through the spine. Now, at this point, we're working for flexibility through the spine. If you want to, you can add the arms in. So the arms can lift towards the sky, or they can go all the way over the head. Now, as the arms lift up towards the sky, we'll find that we can get more purchase through the vertebrae as we float back down. Bring the arms back by your side as you return back to neutral. If you choose to take the arms over the head, you'll find that it magnifies any sticky parts of the spine. So you can allow yourself to use the breath to really zone in on releasing out through the vertebrae. This time we'll add on our little foot lifts, which works for some of us and not for others. If you start to feel as though you're going to cramp in your hamstrings, by all means leave this bit out and just continue flowing through the action. So we get to that point where the hips are in line with the knees and the shoulders, and we allow one foot to lift away. Watch out, we don't want the rib cage to be flaring upwards, we want the rib cage to be in line with the pelvis. Floating the foot down, we change over to the other side. And floating gently down. Let both the arms lift up and over the head or up towards the sky, and then float those vertebrae back down. And then we'll add in a little abdominal curl up there. Let the fingertips reach towards the toes. Head and shoulders lift away from the floor, really pulling the tummy down. And again, rolling gently up through the spine. One leg lifts. And it might be that today you're just thinking about lifting your heel, and that's fine. Arms lift up and over the head. So as you take that abdominal curl up, if you want to curl all the way up to sitting, you can do, and then we'll curl back down again. We've got just one more. So that's our last, this is our last time through the shoulder bridge. Curling all the way up. Arms lift up and over, or we can allow ourselves to lift the legs. And then as we finish off there, let's allow ourselves to curl all the way up to sit. And when we get there, we'll allow those toes to hover just an inch or so away from the floor. Letting the shoulders really glide down the back. From there, we've got that squeeze in the tummy. Let's lift the toes a little higher. And we're lifting. Shoulders are gliding down the back, breastbones lifting. Beautiful. Let's see if the toes lift a little higher. Yeah. Allow the arms to reach out and away. We're breathing. And release. Well done, guys. Coming round to a crouch position, we're going to tuck the toes under. And we'll just gently rock ourselves forwards and backwards. And then taking your time to bring yourself up to standing, you can come up in a way that suits you, or you can roll up through the spine with me. I'm going to press my heels into the ground, let the head be heavy, and rolling gently up through the vertebrae. Let the shoulders glide down the back. Head comes on top. Last thing of all, lift the shoulders, roll the shoulders back and down. Take a deep breath in, reaching really tall. Breathing out, and we'll let it all go. And give a good shake out. Well done, guys. Give yourselves a round of applause. So Facebook Livers, thanks ever so much for dropping in and watching. I will see you on Friday. Take care.